Eclipse Day. Thanks for taking a minute out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Great to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would love to begin our conversation before we get into your life as an entrepreneur and get into real estate. We're looking at the calendar. 4 years ago, the pandemic was really gaining steam. How did you make it through that time period and how did it change you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it actually was a big pivotal point for me because prior to this, during the pandemic and prior to that, we had a marketing company. And so I was focused on helping car dealers run paid ads, doing all their marketing, working for them. And I liked it. It was profitable. I was good at it. But it was my favorite thing. I always wanted to get into real estate. But during when the pandemic hit and all the shutdowns happened, I literally lost all my clients overnight. So it was kind of a stressful time for me. I'm like, hey, do I really want to go back and wait this out and try to hunker down, or do I want to get into real estate because it's kind of what I want to do anyways? And I took that as an opportunity to jump into real estate, which ended up looking back was definitely the right decision.
Well, and so the market right now, there's all these rumors of what it's going to do. What's your take on where the market's going to go?
So I have no idea, honestly. I don't. I'm sure the interest rates have to come down at some point, just from based on what I'm hearing. It looks like here in San Antonio, at least, starting to pick back up as far as sales and but yeah, it's what I do is wholesaling. So I just looked for, highly discounted properties. I look for distressed properties that have some kind of problem with them. So I'm able to solve that problem for them by connecting them with other investors. So basically I get the property, I sell it to another investor, they do the fix and flip and all that stuff. Now we've done a handful of fix and flips, but I definitely like the wholesaling model a lot better. Just because I don't have to go in there and get hit with a bunch of surprises, and I can just focus on what I'm best at, which is sales and marketing.
So talk to me a little bit about exactly what you do on a daily basis. If I put you in front of a bunch of third graders, it's career day, and one of the kids is curious and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer
Yeah,
that child?
yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. So what I do is I find real estate deals, and then I sell those deals to investors or fix and flippers.
So what did you want to be in the third grade?
Um, I have no idea really. Yeah, I didn't. I kind of tough childhood, so I didn't really have many aspirations or anything I wanted to be. I kind of just wanted to be independent, I guess, and just which I guess kind of be an entrepreneur is now. Yeah, I just wanted to just be a boss and be my own thing and not have, be able to, I guess that's that. Yeah, I didn't really have many like I didn't want to be a cop or an astronaut or anything like that.
Okay. Well, let's step back a little bit. Tell me where you were born and raised and how some of these seeds of being an entrepreneur grew into who you are today.
Yeah, so I grew up, moved around a lot as a kid, but originally I'm from Lynn, Massachusetts, which is right outside of Boston. But yeah, bounced around, moved a lot as a kid. Kind of had a tough time coming up. By the time I was like 15, I was homeless, lived in group homes, was in juvenile detention centers, and even a children's mental asylum for a short time. So yeah, bounced around a lot of abuse, a lot of not so fun stuff. But yeah, just really did whatever I could. Really just kind of in a survival state, and I did whatever I could just to get to the next day. But eventually I found sales, and that was like the first thing I was ever good at. So that was kind of a big pivotal point for me, and just went all into sales.
So there's always this moment as a professional where something works out and you're like, all right, this makes sense. What was that moment for you, either in sales or being an entrepreneur, where you were like, you know what? This is a good gig. This is my way.
Yeah, I think that first day in sales, I didn't really have the job. I had a friend that got me like and calling an interview, but when I got there, they told me they weren't actually hiring. And they said, hey, he hyped me up, said I was this great person, even though I've never done it before. And they put me on the phone in a call center in front of like a whole room full of people. So everyone was watching me and no idea what I was doing, but I practiced a lot the day before. And yeah, I just got on the phone, and that very first call, I made a sale. And then after the next one, I made another sale. And then, everyone was like blown away. And like, we got to get this guy off the phone, get him to sign paperwork. And, you come back tomorrow, you have a job. And, for me, I'm like, wow, I never had an experience like that before. So then I'm like, hey, this sales thing is for me. And sales eventually led to entrepreneurship and, realizing, hey, if I can do this for me, why can't I do this? Or if I can do this for other people, why can't I do this for me?
So let me ask you this. Take me back to, growing up, obviously sounds like it was rough in your teen years. What was the point where you kind of said, I want a different life? What was that turnaround for you?
I think the whole time, I mean, I wanted a different life for sure. I just wanted, I always had something inside me that wanted more, that was hungry, that felt like, hey, this isn't where you're supposed to be. even though the voice was kind of quiet most of the time because my utter circumstances didn't reflect that at all. But the whole time going through it, it sucked, and just wanted to be, hey, I don't want this. I want more.
I used to run a teen program in an at-risk area, and I remember there was a kid that used to always push our buttons. I was the computer guy. We ran labs, and then my other the guy that worked with me was a football player for Oklahoma, and he was a big dude. No one crossed him. He was just that guy.
Hmm.
But I remember I got livid one time because this kid wouldn't stop. And I remember my partner Phil stopped me and said, "Listen, dude, this kid needs love. This kid needs us to embrace him." Were there people like that? Were there heroes in your life that took a minute, that could have been angry but decided to embrace you and extol your virtues?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think that the guy made a great point because I was kind of like that. I'd push people's buttons to see. I wanted them to, be like, no, I actually cared about you. But yeah, it's so my one of my best friends growing up is my best friend. His family actually took me in, and his stepdad, so not even his dad, but his stepdad, um, was like one of the first like positive, parental figures I had, and to see it taught me a lot, taught me how to be a man, how to stick up for myself, taught me, like, so many things. It was just, yeah, it was just yeah, definitely I'm very grateful I ran into him. It was definitely a pivotal point for me.
So is there anybody alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating that you would love to meet and talk to?
I think Elon Musk, yeah, just a very fascinating person to me. Just I love to like, actually talk to him, see how his brain works. It seems like he's really just, thinks so big, and just I've never yeah, I don't know anyone else alive that thinks that big, or, really everybody bets against him, and he doesn't care. He just keeps pushing for these crazy things that nobody else thinks is possible.
He's always the number one answer. I don't know why there can't be like a safe place to have like a secret camera so people can see how he does his things. But I don't
Mm,
know that you could do that because there's too many trade secrets. There's too
right.
much that he's dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um,
100%.
so let me ask you this. Every day you wake up, what's your motivation? What makes you do the sale, be who you are, evolve as a human? What is that motivation for you?
That's a good I think, every day I'm just trying to be the best version of myself, and I feel like I still have a long way to go. So I'm just trying to push and, see what I'm capable of. And yeah, I feel like if you're not growing, you're dying. And yeah, I just want to keep pushing forward and, help as many people as we can.
The one thing about real estate, I know personally with me, I've always had long relationships with agents. There's something about real estate that creates this very strong bond. What has been one of your favorite success stories that you've had so far?
Yeah, so probably one of my favorite success stories. So we actually have a mastermind, where I help other people get into real estate wholesaling, and usually transition from their W-2 or their job, and to get into real estate full time. But for me, yeah, it was, this guy and his son, Caleb and Cannon. They yeah, they joined. They're one of the first people to join. I think they were the first person, to join the syndicate, and which is the mastermind. And yeah, just being able to help them, and I'm like, hey, here's the path, here's what I do. They just took the ball and ran with it, and they, made like 90K in 90 days, and they were able to transition from their job and loving it, and they're a badass father and son duo. So it's yeah, that's one of my favorite things. Is before it was like getting the big deals for myself, but now just like watching other people do it. I mean, like it's super cool to me.
So I remember I moved into my house on January of 2020. It was a big deal. Obviously, we had no idea what was coming. And I remember my agent at one point when it got real heady towards the end, he was like, just remember one thing. You're going to wake up in this city, which is Lee Summit, where I moved to. You're going to wake up in that city on this morning. And I always remember that quote. And I'm wondering with you, you have to probably give a lot of good advice to clients and keep them straight. What's the best advice that you ever got that's reverberated with you?
Yeah, so the best advice I've ever gotten, was from my grandmother when I was a kid and was going through it, and she said, "All you can do is just take things one day at a time." Um, and then something she said many times, but that time it really stuck with me, so I was really going through it. And yeah, just try to live with that mantra, just one day at a time. It's really easy to get focused on all the things you did wrong in the past, or things that act like a victim, and all the things that happened to you. And it's really easy to get stressed about the future and what may or may not happen. But if you just focus on what you can control, which is today, everything else seems to work out.
So you're many miles away, obviously, in many ways from when you were 18. But if you had a dream tonight and ran into that 18-year-old version of you, you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained so far. What advice would you give that young version of you?
Um, Probably just, yeah, get into real estate earlier because it was definitely the right vehicle for me. But a lot of the stuff I feel like it's tough because I feel like you kind of have to go through it so you can grow through it. So I feel like a lot of the mistakes and things I made along the way, I probably had to go through to set me up to where I am now. Um, But yeah, if anything, it'd probably be getting to real estate because it's definitely the right vehicle for me.
So I've played Monopoly so many times with my son. There's always like a preference people have for property they want to pick up. What's your go-to property when you play?
Really whatever I can get three of, except for like
Okay.
the brown ones. But yeah, I like
Right.
the red. The red ones seem to do well for me. I like to get that little corner of the board by
Uh-huh.
the free parking. But
Okay. Because some people like the utilities, they swear on it. Some people like to get all the railroads. So I was just curious how you, because sometimes that mimics the way you live your life. It's a philosophy thing, like how
mhm.
you're going to do it. So of all of these things that you've done in your life and overcome and achieved and evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
um, I think yeah, just really just how far I've come, and I still have a long way to go. But yeah, looking back, I feel like that 18-year-old version of myself wouldn't have guessed that I'd made it this far. Or I'm grateful for I have a amazing wife that loves me, and I have a great relationship with her. I'm making it to Texas. Literally drove all the way across the country, and I think just be an entrepreneur and be able to figure it out on a day-to-day basis. But I mean, there's a lot, but yeah, I think really just how far I've come from where I started.
So you mentioned you're in San Antonio. What's the best thing about living in San Antonio?
Man, that's hard to pick. There's so many. It's really just such a cool city, and yeah, I'm really happy we came here. But I'd say the people. I mean, we do a lot of events here. We do like speaking events where we teach people how to get into real estate, and we just get like so much love from the community. So many people show up and support our events, and I'm not originally from here, so it's so cool just to feel like you're embraced and you get so much support from the community and the people here.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Um, that's a good question. Who do I think I am? So yeah, I think I'm just a person that's living proof that you can change your life around from any point. I think that I just I'm an example, or I guess how I want to be perceived, I guess. But how I perceive myself, yeah, just someone that's gritty, that no matter what life throws at me, he's gonna keep pushing forward and just keep getting better a little day, and someone that definitely takes ownership and is passionate about getting to where he's going.
So Kai, if anyone wants to hire you, reach out, learn more about you, anything about your world of good business, where do they go?
Yeah, probably the best place to go is the wholesalingsyndicate.com. There you can check out my podcast, the Real Estate Wholesaling Syndicate podcast. I have all the links to connect with me and everything there. So it's just wholesalingsyndicate.com.
Right on. So Kai, thank you so much. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Best of luck in the future. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Joe. It was great connecting with you. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yes, sir. And